Hi, everybody. This is Ruben Mendive. I am the host of Lista, a LatinX writers podcast. I usually have my guests introduce themselves, so who you are, what you're about, and like how you identify, just so that people can have like a snippet of sort of who you are.
Bienvenidos, I am Chris Trovador. I am a Puertorriqueño Americano from Florida.
All right, cool.
That's I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
A mixture of cultures all mixed into one for sure. But my family is born and everyone comes from Puerto Rico for the most part until you start going to great grandma, Spain,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, that's all too common.
Yeah.
So which part of Florida?
Central Florida. I was born and raised in Pine Hills. It's Orlando is like this mecca of mixed cultures. You would say like Miami's full of Cubans. Well, Orlando, Kissimmee is like full of Puerto Ricans.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. And your family, when did they come to Florida? Do you know?
So my mom came out to Florida once she got married and whatnot with my father. I'd say she moved out here when she was 27.
Okay.
And I was born in 1990. Mm-hmm. So at that time, she was trying to get her master's degree. Mm-hmm. And did I say the bastard's degree? She was going to get the bastard. No, she was getting her master's degree at the same time. So I remember going to her graduation as a child.
Oh, cool.
She started working off at like Disney kitchens and then ends up, later on managing or branch manager to other companies, and then ends up working at NASA. Now she does real estate. And
all right, cool. I should interview her.
Yeah, you definitely could. You definitely could.
Okay, so do you know what? Because again, Puerto Rico, it's such a different sort of story as opposed to other like Latin American countries. So what sort of spurred the move from Puerto Rico to Florida?
I think it's in that pursuit of better circumstances, better outcomes. My mom saw her way through education, so she felt that she could get more opportunity. She almost moved out here actually in California, and she told me she came to visit here and checked it out, but because Florida's closer to Puerto Rico, that's what made her stay, family and stuff.
And because that's an interesting dynamic, because again Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. So I was wondering if it is sort of like moving from like Tennessee to Washington, like do you know what that culture change was?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a complete culture change because in Puerto Rico, everyone is of every kind of skin tone. Every one doesn't worry about race as much. So that was definitely, I'm sure, a culture shock for her. Yeah, because everyone's seeing her, she's a lot more lighter than I am, so everyone sees her as a white woman, or and then she speaks Spanish, and then so it's definitely a change for them. And being that I was born and raised there, I didn't really notice that. I would say until I moved out here 5 years ago. I had, you would say, Puerto Rican pride, but I didn't really embrace it until I noticed when I was secluded here. Yeah. And it's like, no, everyone thinks you're African American, or everyone thinks you're something else. And it's like, nah, I'm Puerto Rican. And I think that was the initial spark of, oh no, I need to tell more of my story.
Because I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
And I sort of had the same experience too. When you grow up with sort of a mix of everything, and then you're somewhere where you're very few of your kind of people. It's interesting when, as children, you grow up in such a like diverse community with sort of every kind of people, and then you're introduced to another community where you begin to feel like the other, you know?
Absolutely. I definitely, I went to predominantly black schools. The public school system in Florida is, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows about it. In the news, at least, they say it.
Yeah.
And so one way I'm learning how to be raised like that, and then my mom is trying to be professional in the white or Caucasian world.
Yeah.
So there's a clash. When we go home, you know, it was just me and my mom growing up. She raised me. And it literally was, oh, my mom's trying to be white. Why? She's commenting, why are you trying to act black? Or it's like me commenting, why are you trying to act white? And it's like this clash. And where we meet in the middle is being Puerto Rican or being Hispanic or however you want to put it.
Yeah. And it is, this comes up in a lot of interviews, how, you know, for a long time, I think the goal was to acclimate to be, you know, at this American standard, but also that standard is very much measured against whiteness and what's professional, what is appropriate, you know, how much of yourself you can be, because, you know, it does seem threatening to people. You know, the if you distinct yourself as your culture and your nationality, people aren't used to it.
Right.
And that can come with a whole series of reactions, you know?
Absolutely. I definitely think that is one of the most underlooked topics that we can get into.
Yeah, and I think it also is unique to the Latinx identity, because we are sort of in the middle area with I call it like proximity to whiteness, you know? So tell me, like, what was like your childhood like in Florida? Like, what was it like growing up? Who were you in school and all that?
I'm an only child.
Okay.
And so being an only child, you're learning this world that your mother has no idea that she's, you know, sending you to. Not like in a bad way, like if I was, but it was lower economic areas. And for example, she's gonna hate me if she ever hears this, but we would shop at the thrift store, right? And she would, mira, esto es, si alguien te pregunta, esto es de Europa, okay? I was like, Ma, I want this FUBU. No one's gonna believe me that I got it in Europa. Like, no, esto es Europa close, okay? So it's just like always trying to hide who we really were was a part of it. Yeah. You know, now that I'm older and I can see that. But when we would go to church, when we would be around others, then it's like this whole sense of, oh, I'm like them. Oh, I'm like this. And growing up in Florida was interesting. My first sign of racism was through black people. They would call me white. Oh, this crack of this, or this white boy this. And it's just like, oh, well, dang, I don't fit in with y'all. And then I remember going middle school. I went to a private school for the first time. White people call me Mexican. Oh, well, what? Hold on, no, that's not. And then I would go to a Hispanic school, and it's like, oh no, you black. You act black. And it's like, yo, I don't fit in anywhere. So my whole life, I felt like I never fit in into any box, into any label. So where it's, how do I put this? Back then, I thought it was a bad thing. It was horrible. I was like, I don't fit into anyone. No one likes me. No one, you know. But growing up now, especially when you're writing and you're putting on your own things, it's like, no, I was a failure by design. I was a loser. I didn't say loser, but I was an outcast for a reason. Yeah,
it's very common in like within Latinx people to be of different skin tones, and again, that comes with the whiter you look, the certain experience you have, the darker you look, another experience you have. And with your shade comes with who you fit in with, who you don't fit in, who you're like, who you're not like. And you sort of come from like a no man's land of like, where do I fit into that? And I think that if you're smart, you see that as an asset. Yeah. You know, because again, I don't think it's unique to you, to me. I think because there's one of us, there's got to be at least 1 million of us feeling the same thing. But it is that thing where you don't really see it heard or talked about or performed or televised, you know?
Yeah. That's definitely why, like, I I mean, I tried to look up who invented the term Latinx. Do you know who?
I
Whoever invented this term is great. Yeah, wherever it came from, I love it because it's like, all right, there's this brand new term that we can all agree on that represents all of us without having to come from this machismo world where it's like run by men, and it's like, oh no, you're Hispanic, you're not Latino. Okay, well I can only check Latino on the the test or whatever the case may be. Or it's like, oh no, but she's Latina, why would she say she's Latino? And it's like, okay, that's just two issues, and we have so many more that it's like, cool, whoever invented this is like, this term is
we
great.
do have to expand the definition of who we are because we're so different. That's sort of the point of this podcast too, is just to show how different we can all be and the representation. What does that look like, So like, how long were you in Florida? What did you do in Florida?
I was there my whole life until 2013. But before we skip to that, I graduated high school, and at the same time I was doing high school, I was doing like an alternative trade for audio engineering.
Okay, cool.
So at that time I was obsessed with music. That's how I got into storytelling. That's how I got into writing, through making raps, lyrics, doing poetry, doing like poetry slams or like a competition or even open mics. And that's how I got really into that rhythm of that. So I took audio engineering for that reason, because I wanted to learn how to do it. I wanted to make beats. I wanted to be, the hottest rapper MC around. And once I graduated that, I was like 17 when I graduated, and that didn't make me no money. So
you wanted into writing?
I wish that was making me money, but that was not the case, and I got into tattooing. Okay, cool. So I became a tattoo artist. I've been doing that now for 10 years. Oh. And which is a whole nother, it's like skirt.
How did you even get into that?
So like I said, I had did the audio engineering, so I was just getting small jobs. I had moved out on my own, and none of those jobs were really working. It's just like, when you feel like I can't be working. Well, over there, it's like over here, Pollo Campero, right? They have that here. Oh, yeah. So over there, they have Pollo Tropical. So Pollo Tropical is where I was working at. I also worked at another store. I got fired from both. And you start searching, what is it that I'm meant to be here for? Then I ended up getting kicked out of this place I was staying at. I had a roommate. Well, I got evicted. Then from that place, I moved with my homeboy and his mom. They let me get the spare, but then I got fired from another job. Okay, now I got to sleep in the car during the day when my mom isn't there, and just pull up in the garage area. And then use her Wi-Fi, use the internet, because I was too prideful. My mom wanted me back. It wasn't like, she would have loved to have me back. I just didn't want to abide by those strict rules that she would have, and looked on Craigslist, and these individuals, Danny and Kelly Wells, they came from England, and they want to start a tattoo shop, and they were looking for people. So I said, hey, I got this sketchbook. You want to check it out? Okay. I've always thought about it because we would see Miami Ink, and that'd be cool. Yeah. But my mom was like, no tattoos, none of that. So that's what did the audio engineering first. And I was like, I have no choice. I need to get some type of money. Yeah. Let's take up another trade. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good idea. I think if you get a degree in a different like major, just in like marketing or something that can supplement some income. Same thing with like picking up a trade, to be like, you know what, there's tattoo shops everywhere. Like, it's something that not everybody can walk off the street and start doing. Right. And if you do it for 10 years, then you got some cred. Especially if you love at least art or drawing in general. And I think that's what always, how we were talking about like how was it growing up, is like a lot of that times I secluded myself from distinct areas or people, because most of the time I was at home. It was either watching, movies, cartoons, But most of that time I spent drawing or writing.
And so what's it like the first time you put ink to a person's skin?
Oh, tattooing?
Yeah.
I it was my homeboy AJ, and it was his first tattoo, right? So he's nervous already.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous doing my first tattoo, so I'm shaking, he's shaking.
Oh my God.
And at the end of the day, he ended up getting his mom's name, and I knew his mom, so I really didn't want to mess that one up.
Yeah.
So at first it's nerve-wracking. It's just like, you know what? It's because it is permanent, it's one thing, but also I think it's just as nerve-wracking as could be writing. You know, the hardest thing is putting those words to paper.
That's true. That's true.
It's just like, oh, I can't think all day. Except one's more permanent. And yeah, you have to deal with blood and stuff. But I think sometimes I like feel when I first started like really writing down like screenplays or even actual plays, it was literally
the hardest thing is to just start, you know, because if you don't start, you haven't messed it up yet, you know. Like because half the time you're thinking like, the second I start, it has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then what's the point, you know? And I think that's the thing that we have to learn the most, is to be like, it's not gonna be perfect the first time, and the real writing comes from rewriting it, you know.
Right. Which you can, but you can't take that practice in tattooing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got to be perfect. Or it's like, at least it has to be, you know, decent enough to walk out of here.
Yeah. So, you know, you were mentioning, you know, you were you wanted to be like this rapper. So where did that all...
Sounds so funny.
But where did that all start? You know, like, where did that need come from?
It was, I would say poetry, but it came through wanting, it was an outlet for me. It was, writing was was just as long with drawing, you know, and I read comic books, so you have to read those things. So where did it come from? I mean, you listen to music. The first hip hop MC I ever heard was Vico C. I don't know if you know who Vico C is.
Not familiar.
He helps, like, he's one of the forefathers of reggaeton.
Okay.
And Vico C this tape was given to me by my grandfather.
Okay.
And that's what sparked
That's cool.
my first introduction to hip hop, to reggaeton, to reggae. That was like I never paid attention to music until I got that tape. And I was 98 or something, maybe like something like that. And maybe it was that. I don't honestly, to this day, is like, I can't really, I just sit and bark, what was it really that made me want to? And it's like, oh, I met Vico C one day. He ended up coming to my church and performing. So that could help spark. I think it's just like little piggy banks, and you just put a coin here and just put a coin. So that started to feel more. And it's like, oh, okay, everyone in school is trying to rap. Oh, okay. You're saying if I, you know, write, I can have the better raps if I sit down and think about it. Okay. And it's just like writing your stories or writing like comic books. And I would do like little doodles and then have words with them. So I guess all that built to wanting to do that. And then the art of freestyle is what lifted it off, because I loved acting a fool and just you have to build a confidence in freestyle. You have to tell a story through lyrics at the top of your head and make them rhyme, and most of the time hopefully you make them make sense. And I think that's what really propelled that, oh, I want to do this all the time. And like what was the first time you were performing, you know, your writing, you know? Well, this is, I guess it depends our definition of performing. Because I started doing elementary plays as like, oh, I had to be Willie Mays for a play one time and sing the song, and then I have to talk about the baseball player. So that was my first introduction, and I was at elementary. Then church, you'd have the choir or something that my mom had me go do, and I was like, okay, cool. So that's performing. Then when I don't know if you've ever freestyled in front of someone.
Believe it or not, I have not.
Yeah, you should try it. But it's like, that's on its own a performance. It's just a small one. It's maybe between you and a friend or 2-3 other people. And then it's a small performance. And then it's like building that courage just to say whatever's on the top of your head.
Yeah.
And then through there you do more, and then you start doing rap battles. And then that, if I would have known that that was improv, because I do improv now.
Yeah.
We'll get into all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I would have known, who knows how my life would have changed. But because I was busy being a class clown, that was another version of performance for me.
Yeah.
So, the power of laughter. When you get someone to laugh and the whole class laughs with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they see me, do raps. Now I can make people laugh. So that's another version to this question, is like that I was performing there, even though some of them weren't good. A lot of times they weren't. There's just immature things kids say.
Yeah.
But when you start to master it, and it's like, oh, cool, freestyling is just like telling jokes. And then it's like when you go to gym class, everyone's cracking on each other. Oh, those shoes. Oh, that hairline. It's the most dumbest thing, all materialistic. But that's what it was. And so this kid makes fun of you. I'm always being made fun of. Growing up, that was the thing. I was an outcast, like I was saying. And so it's like everyone's making fun of. And you see what that does and how that makes you feel. Okay, you need to say something even faster and quicker to them. I hope I'm making sense.
No, yeah, you are.
And so it's like, oh, your shoes this? Oh, well, my shoes? Well, at least I can fit in my shoes because whatever the case may be. And it's like, ooh, there's another power of laughter. And you sort of just freestyled without rhyming, but about the other person. So, boom, those are different versions of performing. And I didn't know this shit, but literally thinking about it, like now, it's like, wow, those are little mini performances you're doing, embedding,
Yeah, and it's really like insane with like storytellers or performers how you sort of been realizing it's like there's definitely a moment where you realize you've been doing it all along, and you're like, why did it take me so long to get here?
Florida public schools. Nah.
Well, that's true. You can't do what you don't know is possible. You know?
And the teachers. I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, if I would see a kid doing what I did then, because I know the matter, I take it into different sections. Like, yo, you know what? You might, the school stuff, you just got to get out through it, to a certain extent. But like there's other things that you do. You have a gift or something like that. I got kicked out of drama class. I got kicked out of most classes, but I remember specifically getting kicked out of drama class, Spanish class, and drawing. Yeah. Because the art teacher, I drew better than him, so I felt, I was like, what are you going to teach me? The drama teacher, she didn't teach me or show that improv was an avenue. I was like, this things that you want us to memorize, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, what can I do? No, you got to memorize this thing that has nothing to do with you or whatever the case may be. And I was like, no, I'll make it up if you want. Yeah. But not taking a child's unique perspective and just trying to push it. I mean, if you want it to memorize for the class, you're going to have to. But if you can help propel that child into, okay, you're good at making stuff up, being a mental storyteller now. Yeah. So, okay, you're this person, you give the character, you say, okay, now put these lines in there. Say that and then give me something else. And it's like, ooh, you can mold it if you wanted to. Yeah. But because I didn't get that, my avenues went to so many different directions.
Yeah, because when you're following the curriculum, it's got very specific like avenues for you to go down. And it's also like drama in high school, they're just saying, hey, we have this elective, you're taking it. No, like what's going to come out of it, Right. They're like, we're concentrating on math and science. That's what you need to be worried about,
So the drama teacher's like, oh, you can't do it? Well, get out of my class. Oh, well, dang. Then I go into class every time with an attitude. I'm going in the class. Oh, can you get your pick out of your hair? Can you get the toothpick out of your mouth? Can you pull up your pants? And it's just like you're taking the joy of something that I never even knew. Everything happens for a reason, of course. Yeah. But it's just like, interesting how those choices, if I had a bad attitude, if someone could have molded me in a distinct way, how my life would have changed, who knows? And it's not their fault again. Yeah. But
it is interesting to like how how schooling, you're a kid, you're just ingesting everything, you're just consuming everything that you're seeing and being done to you, and it's just like, what if we nurtured certain aspects? And also, like, if a kid's acting out, kids don't act out for no reason.
Right. There's something deeper.
Yeah.
So why not try to figure it out?
Yeah.
And no, just get out.
Yeah, because it doesn't fit into this lesson plan for today
Mm-hmm.
for this 30 minutes that we have to get done, you know?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so you're in Florida. You're working as a tattoo artist.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what? Like, do you have a path? Do you have a journey? Like, what are you doing? Where do you see yourself? You know?
I still was doing music on the side.
Mhm.
I had a homeboy named Wasi, and well, I mean, he's still around, and he made the craziest, most awesome beats, and we always hung out since I was like 16, and I was dating his cousin that we went to the same high school, whatever, and that's how we met.
Mhm.
And he made beats, and so he always kept me in the music. He knew I liked to make beats, but also rap and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I was always keeping in the loop, which is why I went to the audio engineering school. I was like, I can do that same
Yeah.
thing too. Cool. So while I'm doing tattoos, I'm also still trying to make music on the side, because that feeling of like is not leaving, because you're doing a tattoo, there's so much time to think, there's so much time to do things.
Yeah,
so
and you have that creativity, you have the hunger, you want to
Right.
create, you know?
Yeah, you put a beat on and my head's already just
Yeah.
ticking, and so it's like, cool, how do I do that at the same time? So I ended up, my tattoo shop was pretty dope. I don't want to, but I mean, it doesn't exist anymore. They actually took it down. But Stigma Tattoo Bar, it was a tattoo shop in the middle of downtown Orlando that had pole fitness for women, like for classes, and they had a bar on the side, and then in between you had stage that was a cage.
Okay.
You had the DJ booth. We had a swing at one point. There were shackles on the wall. It's like this dungeon.
Yeah, that's kind
And
of cool. Like, it's got everything.
Party Sunday
Yeah.
through Monday.
Yeah.
And I am 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it's oots all the time. It's great, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And
Sounds fun.
It sounds fun. You start doing it for 3 years straight, and it's like it
Yeah.
starts wearing you out.
Yeah.
Because every night's a party night. And not even to put the stigma of that tattoo artists are partiers, but it's like once we're done tattooing, it's going to that life, and
Yeah.
you're already in downtown. There's not much to do in Orlando. Disney is 45 to 50 minutes away, and that's
Yeah.
the stigma that we get being in Orlando. So it's like, what do we have? There's downtown, there's getting in trouble, there's acting a fool, dancing, and that whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so there were nights where I would perform. So I'd get done doing tattoos. We're all hanging out, having fun. You put a beat on, or you put one of my songs on that I gave the DJ, or whatever the case may be. And boom, it was just like, oh, wow, I'm listening to myself in this club environment.
Yeah.
I had a song called Ink Addicted. It was literally like a hip-hop / dubstep song that me and the DJ created. And he ended up would play it every night he would DJ at the club.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like making it your own way. And so sometimes I'd get up in the stage or in the cage and I'd get a mic and I'd just rap the lyrics to it, to the whole song. And it'd just be this club environment, and I would do that. But when no one's getting paid for this hobby, and you start getting with a lot of other people, everyone has an opinion. No one's getting paid, everyone has an opinion. You go to Diddy, you're not going to have an opinion on what Diddy likes.
Yeah.
Because you're getting paid. So I tried to join rap groups. I tried to join, other producers. And there was always some form of hate or something going around in other places. And I just wanted to rap.
Yeah.
So it's all, oh no, this guy has a southern flow, or this sounds good, or it was always some. So I felt that once people just didn't show up to this hip hop show I would do every now and then, none of my friends showed up. Family wouldn't show. You can't bring your mom to a trap, or, like in Florida is like, I don't know if you know Southern music.
I've heard rumors.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Ace Hoods, you have the Plies, you have all these like Young Jeezy, but you have people who want to be like Young Jeezy, and they're all independent artists, and it's like, yo, you ain't trying to bring your mom where goons are hanging out, and it's like,
Yeah.
So right next, 2 doors down from the tattoo shop was SAC Comedy Lab. I said, what is this? So I've always been a fan of Whose Line Is It Anyways with Wayne Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I look it up on the internet. Wayne Brady went to this school. Wayne Brady is from Orlando.
Okay, did not know that.
Look at that. Wesley Snipes is as well, and
That makes more sense.
Possibly, yeah. And I think Brian McKnight. But regardless,
Yeah.
So when I heard, Wayne Brady went, so I checked it out, and I learned the art of improvisation.
Yeah, and when did you sort of see that this has been something you've been doing the whole time, or did you just be like, oh, I'm kind of good at this? Or
so I would watch the shows. So and I'm like, I can make stuff up at the top of my head and act a character. And you start watching that. You start, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I can do it. So you end up taking a class. I'm like, Mom, let me get some money so I can take this class. I'm not investing in any clown school, okay? You already want to be a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
You know, you're all tattooed or whatnot. And I bought my, improv class at Set Comedy. And from that moment, if my brain was going to explode, because it's sort of like an acting class, but you're freeing yourself, being characters, but also the memorization or the patterns of a game in a scene is sort of like hip hop. You have your intro, interior, exterior to a story.
Yeah.
Then you have your where are you, your who, what, where's. You have the verse for the song. That's what I'm just matching. And then you have the chorus, which is like your meat and potatoes of any big movie. You know, Avengers is going to have fight scenes.
Yeah.
So that's your chorus. Then you leave it alone, go back into the normal person scenes. You're going into the other verse, then hit the chorus again, which is like the climax with the bridge of a song, which is the climax of a movie with the bridge of whatever. This is like when the Hulk and Thor and everyone's standing next to each other, and this is a big climactic moment, whooping ass. We're about to have our last fight. That's the end of the song. It's right close to it, and then you have your outro, the ending scene. Someone dies, the police come in, whatever. The ambulance to a story. And it's like boom. I'm seeing these little patterns of like, this is just like that. And then when I would freestyle, it would be a whole nother ballgame, because the memorization that you have to have in improv, it's like, I have to remember what my who, what, wheres are, the form. I have to remember the yes and. I have to remember I'm a character, stay in character. Who's this person to me? What gifts is he giving me so I can continue the scene? And it's like, this stuff helps with freestyle, and I can paint you a whole picture because I'm able to visually see it. But now I'm just using my rhymes with it.
But you're right. I think especially with writing, if there is a formula, there is a pattern. Most people know it. Even you don't have to be a writer to know it. Just because you know it subconsciously, just because everything you watch follows that pattern. So that's why when you sort of, if you're smart, you learn it, and then you sort of follow the beats to how you want your story told. Exactly. And then it works because it's worked for thousands of years. There's
this pattern in everything that is never talked about, or unless you're a writer, unless you decode the thing. And it's the same way with music. You want a top hit, top chart, what's trendy, what sounds catchy. And it's like, wow, I started putting all those things together. Yeah. And when I did my first improv show, who showed up? Everybody. So I said, well, damn, if everyone will show up to this, I might as well, I'm where I need to be then. I need to start doing that. And then my mom, since she started seeing me go to clown school,
harsh.
Yeah, well,
harsh,
I mean,
maybe true,
what?
But harsh.
It is, but now she understands it to the max.
Yeah.
But back then she didn't. Why you want to do this? And side note, my mom was a clown for church in Puerto Rico.
When? How?
Yeah. So the legend is, my mom would just do like little birthday parties or whatever for kids in church, and she would just be the clown, and she would just do clown stuff. So she would always take me to circuses, all right?
I guess.
You know what I'm talking
about.
Yeah. Barnum and Bailey. She would take me to these places like Cirque du Soleil. She loved all those kinds of things. We had clown paintings and sculptures in the house. She loved like masks. I got this mask in Italy, and this whole thing. It was like, I never really noticed it until my friends would come over and they're like, yo, you got all these clowns and stuff. And it's like, wow, like how everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, now I'm doing clown school because all these things.
And she was so harsh about it. Meanwhile, she was a literal clown in Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Because she wants her son to have, you know, a nice paycheck, be able to be comfortable in life, think of the future. And that wasn't an avenue back in those times.
I mean, the whole point for a lot of, you know, parents coming to a new place for opportunity is that the goal is they'll do well, but their kids will do better.
Right.
So what was your mom's plan? What was her reaction to you sort of being more creative and, you know, having to do your own independent thing than like a 9-to-5 with a...
She's like, it's better that than you being in trouble or going to jail. Hey. So, I mean, in the end, she wasn't going to understand the hip hop. She wasn't going to, when I showed her a song I did, it's like, ooh, I'm cussing and I'm doing all these things. And it's like, that's not, you don't want to show your mom those things in a sense, or you don't want to be proud of it in a sense. If you're saying vulgar things or, I hate my dad, or, you know, whatever in a song. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I found an avenue where not only everyone can go to, I can bring my little cousins to, I can bring my family to. And also, there are moments where you can freestyle hip hop, you know, freestyle rap.
I'm sure the audience loves it.
We'll get into that, you know, and other things. But it's like, wow. She's like, you know what? You're proving me wrong in a sense, because she didn't see tattooing being the avenue. She didn't see. She thought, if anything, it would be music, but she wanted me to always go to college, and because I didn't want to do that. But once I showed her the lifestyle that I was at, you know, doing at the tattoo shop. I was like, I'm getting consistent money. I have a good trade for my age. I'm doing art. I'm being creative. Yeah. I'm networking. I have business cards. You know.
Like, that's no joke. Like, having, like, you know, something that, you know, having a craft that you can make money off of, like, that doesn't really go away. No. So, like...
And it's like you're a building, a manufacturer, but you're not... You don't need products as much. You're, you know, producing it through your mind and your ideas, and which helps so much for improv. Yeah. Where it was like I was able to take, you know, improv and then put it to my daily life. I was able to take that to tattoos. So now I'm giving someone a tattoo who is nervous, who's like, oh, it's my first time. Oh, well, cool. Let me turn this light bulb on and learn how to be, since I've been learning how to be funny, let me entertain my clients. So not only they're going to be less nervous, they're also going to come back because I'm giving them almost a damn show the entire time. So I'm over here, you know, putting the needles and I'm making faces and I'm being real strategic about how I put things, the ink caps, accidentally squirt water in my eye, you know, just silly stuff to entertain my client. Now you're getting a whole show. You're getting a whole piece of me, and you're buying into my work, not only because I'm good at what I do, but also because I give you an experience.
Yes. And that is smart. That's like being like an entrepreneur. That is being like, you know, there's 5 tattoo artists in the shop. Why are people coming to me? Like, oh, because I'm entertaining them. Like, I'm having them, they're having a good time.
Right.
And, you know, that's more, you know, because there's a lot of different things people can do. But if the one-on-one interaction, and it's a long interaction, it's good. Like, you're just building a brand and business, and people are coming back, people are recommending, because, you know, even the people watching, because if they bring a friend, they're like, oh
absolutely, this guy seems great. He seems like he knows what he's doing. Oh, my friend went to him. Let me go to him too. It's like, and I went to so many schools, like I was saying earlier. Like so it's like, wow, I'm now tattooing my whole school alumni from everywhere. You know, out of the world. Hey, remember I went to elementary school with you? Oh yeah, what's up? Hey, I'm looking to get a tattoo. That's boom, funny. And it's like one after another. You're just like, oh, that's like a niche. That's like, I'm giving you this fun experience, this ride, and then I started doing music at the same time every now and then. Oh, you're giving me a tip? Cool. I'm going to give you my mixtape too.
Yeah.
Check that out. And it was just a silly, you know, I did so many different like tracks. I just like, you know what? Let me put them all together on a CD. And I did. And instead of give that tip money that you're giving me, I'm just gonna give you a CD with it because you're initially paying for it.
Yeah, doing improv, you're learning, you're doing shows. So how long do you do that before you decide that you're gonna move?
So my mom gets me and my grandparents tickets to go see In the Heights, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and his open. I'm like, I don't want to go see plays. My mom all my life is always trying to take me to these Broadway shows, and it's cool. But at that time, what my mindset is like, I don't. This is not cool because you get made fun of for just the smallest of things. So it's like, nah, I'm not trying. I'm trying to fit in. I don't want to do that. Listen,
musicals are like cool or like.
Right, it's not. It's looked frowned upon. Being smart is frowned upon in circumstances like that, and. Ooh, okay. I don't want to do this, but the first opening, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it? What's that first intro? It's literally the guy with the mask spray painting the audience. And I'm like, what is this? Because I'm doing painting, I'm doing art, and then this is supposed to be a musical?
Yeah.
Boom, and I'm just watching this, and I'm like, salsa? Hold up, there's a bit salsa all my life, in my household. Wait, the rapping? It's not the most best, hip hop ever, but it still makes sense. It's clear, it's fast, it's on beat, So you got to give it credit where it's at, and it's like, wow, I can do that. I'm doing that sort of now, but this is like to a play. This is, wow, I'm seeing a reflection of my culture, even though it's in New York, but I'm still seeing a reflection of me on stage. And that right there is like, I want to do this.
Yeah. And it speaks to the power of representation, like, no offense, but like Wicked, I don't know how many like Puerto Rican kids are getting inspired by Wicked.
Right, absolutely.
but In the Heights, like some like that, it speaks to the power, because if you put this representation in media, in theater, in the culture, somewhere out there, a couple million people are like, whoa, like that's just like me, that's relating to me, like that is my story. And then also being like, oh, I can do that, like.
And that's where it hit off. I was like, I can do that. Wait, they're rapping, they're acting a fool, maybe not the singing, parts, but even then I could still sing a little.
And how old were you when you saw In the Heights?
It had to be when I was probably around 20, around something like that. 20 or something like that. It had to be.
Yeah.
And even maybe 21. I don't honestly, I don't remember. I just remember it was in town, and it was around that time I had been taking improv, and I'm already rapping, and it's, hold up. It's like, that's what it is. And I started researching, Lin-Manuel, and find out he has a movie. Oh, what's this movie? Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen it.
I don't remember what. I'm embarrassed now. Mention it. I don't remember what it's called. But it's a movie of him being a comic book artist.
Okay.
And this comic book artist meets a girl. And so you have these transitions of superheroes and him being a superhero. And he meets this girl in the club. And she leaves her necklace accidentally somewhere. And she goes back to Puerto Rico the morning of. So he takes this necklace and he goes to Puerto Rico, this island. I don't remember if he ever been there. And he has to find the girl in the entire island. And his best friend is the father from Jane the Virgin. And so I just start researching. I'm just, I graduate improv. I take a workshop. And Craig Kakowski, who is, he's a famous actor out here. He's in a bunch of stuff, and he's doing a workshop out there. All the notes he's giving me, and I started researching. Oh, where do you live? L.A. Oh, he starts telling me about improv theaters around here. Yeah. Second City, Iowa West, just in general, he's just giving me a bunch. I'm like, oh, so, after I graduate, and so I went from there, just like, oh, that's interesting. That's far away. So it just you put that idea and you put it in your back pocket or whatnot. And what's funny is I'm at a tattoo shop, and who walks in? Like, you get so many people coming in. It's a late night. It's a club, and it's free to get in.
Again, I'm obsessed with this place.
You should see that we almost had a TV show one time. We did like pilots and stuff.
That's the best opportunity.
Uh-huh.
I would watch that show.
It sounds good, but I guess we were too wild because of the pole fitness and the bar and tattoo shop that from what I was told, that it was too risky of a show to put on.
Yeah, maybe not now, but...
And so a homeboy of mine who I had seen in a long time, we were lifeguards together when we were like 14, 15. He pops in the tattoo shop, and he has a camera around his neck. And I go, Fletch? And he's like, Chris? And it's literally, oh, what's up? How you doing? And he's like, man, I'm going to film school. And I was like, really? And he's like, you do tattoos? And I go, yeah. And then from there, I said, hey, I'll tattoo you if you film some stuff for me. And that's the first time I started trying to create like a webisode series and do that whole thing and leave music alone and just go straight into comedy in this other world. This is the first time I'm acting at all. Then I'm sort of directing, but I don't know that I'm directing. But it's like a co-direction with me and Fletch, the camera guy who's a DP, and he was like, maybe you should do it this way. I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking, or whatever. And it's just this back and forth partnership. And we ended up doing like 3-4 episodes or something like that. And they're crap now. But at the time, I thought it was the most greatest thing. And that's what inspired acting. And he's like, yo, from here, I'm trying to go to L.A. I don't know about all that, man. I was like, nah, everything's cool. I have the life of I have a great life. I'm getting paid. I have a dog. I have a fence. I have a full 2-story house. It was this life that I was living.
Yeah.
And you're saying I should go to LA with you and get rid of it. I was like, what's over there?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, remember that back pocket idea about these? If you want to do shows, it's not going to be here. And that's what my gut was telling me, is there's this ceiling. There's a ceiling in this place that's not the mecca for it. So either you're going to go to New York or you got to go to L.A. I got family in New York. I've been to New York many times. It's a great place, I think, in my opinion, to go for like vacation, like such as Christmas. But living there, in my opinion, I don't know. I feel claustrophobic, or I don't know. I just feel like I'd get in trouble. Everyone's angry. I mean, no offense. I love everyone from there. But what I'm saying is just like, for me personally, I feel like it's very congested to where it's like, okay, cool. I've been there before. I know what it's like. Let's visit. And me and Fletch planned to visit out there. So I'm still hesitant. And I just got paid. Every Saturday we got paid. And he's like, man, I'm getting the tickets now. You got the money? I was like, I don't know, man. I guess. Let me just pay. I need this for the light bill. I need this. And how much you said the ticket was? He's like, $317. 317. Okay. And then I start counting after everything's been paid, and it's exactly $317.
Yeah. Can't argue with that.
Right. Yeah. And so I go to visit, and then one thing after another, you start getting those. You're supposed to be doing it. For some reason, you're fitting this. So we go over there. We go to San Francisco first. To get his cousin, because his cousin wants to visit as well. His cousin's older or whatnot, and we ended up going the same night from San Francisco to LA. We come out here, and he wants to work at Panavision because he wants to be a cinematographer, and I want to check out these improv theaters that Craig Kukowski was talking about, or see a show or whatnot. And I do, and I go to the Second City Theater, and who's in that damn theater? Emma Stone and Michael Pena.
Of Ant-Man fame.
Of Ant-Man and Crash and a whole bunch of other things. And they were in the back audience. And I go, well, damn it, if it's that easy. And I've never seen anyone famous since, but literally that was another boing. Wow, this stage is beautiful. Boing. I go to iOS, is now closed, but I go see a show there. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is... Forget everything else. And I was down, and me and Fletch, to make a long story short, I know it's getting long, but we ended up coming out here and moving, taking the risk.
And you're moving to LA, a new city. Like what's
With my suitcase full of tattoo equipment. I had to get rid of everything.
Yeah.
And put my tattoo equipment in the whole suitcase. It's like a suitcase, and then the suitcase in the suitcase, because that was all the equipment.
Yeah.
And I had to stuff my clothes in between. And my mom was, ¿Cómo qué? ¿Qué tú vas a hacer qué? Chris, you don't have any money for that. How are you? You need to have at least 10 grand saved up.
That's true though. That is true.
It's true,
not the
but it's
reality.
not what happened.
Yeah.
I had about 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah.
That's about it. And even that, I remember my homeboy, I think he came on $800.
Yeah.
Fletch came, I think, like that. I mean, I shouldn't be telling his business like that. But I think he came on less amount because he had to buy a car and whatnot.
Yeah, that'll set you back. Listen, it's expensive to even move to LA,
Right.
which is why a lot of people don't or even can't do it.
Right.
But, that's another obstacle that, Latinx people of color have to, that's a hurdle, because some people move out here and their parents pay their rent, buy them a new car, buy them a condo.
I know so many, and it's astounding to me.
And they're still like, I'm broke. And I'm like, I'm broke.
You broke because you buying $60 video games and you're wasting your time all day, sleeping till 5 p.m.
Yeah. If I had that cushion, like I don't know who I'd be right now, but I don't know. I don't
You have to admire it though. Like, and the fact that we, like, in the long run, you have to be grateful.
Yeah, people
that those
say
things
that
didn't happen. Yeah, I'm definitely grateful I had this chip on my shoulder, because I guess my chip on the shoulder made me even more hungrier than anyone around me.
Yeah.
That, and a lot of times I don't want to say this, like, I don't mean this in a mean way, but it's like, wow, I'm glad my mom and my father had those issues, because then I would get his influence upon my life, or my grandfather from his side, their influence upon my life.
Yeah.
And who knows how it would have turned.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, boom, I get the influence of my mom, and my grandparents, and that's it. The old traditional with a little bit of new, and then everything else, this other portion is the world that I have to now learn.
Yeah. And it shapes you sometimes for the worse. If there's trauma and stuff.
Absolutely.
But
it could have been worse.
But also for the better, it makes you who you are. It shapes you, the struggle. It builds your character, Mm-hmm. So where are you staying? How are you making money? Like what's going on?
So, I mean, we moved out to Van Nuys.
Okay. Popular destination for
very popular destination. First time I've ever been in a town where it's all Hispanics, basically.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
The entire Latinx community is probably right there.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because it's like a full town, and mostly everyone's like from El Salvador, some Mexicano, very few. Like there was 2 Cuban restaurants that I saw. I was like, okay, we sort of there. No Puerto Rican stuff. I'm considered black in this town, and it's just like interesting. Wow.
And and it's interesting too for me because I grew up around so many Puerto Ricans in Chicago that when I came here, I had to learn that it's like of other Central American countries, because that's same thing with Korean people, same thing with Armenian people. Yep. There's like a whole different crop of immigrants that came to the city that you sort of have to pick up on.
Yep. And it's like people will ask me, what are you, black? You this? And it's like, no, I have to speak to them in Spanish, and sometimes still they even don't believe me. So it's like, what is going on? And so I do that. And being that we were talking about this chip on the shoulder, I'm always down to help out or work do whatever I can. Yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. That's cool. I could tattoo at the house. But what I did for the first couple months, I went back to Florida and I just tattoo some more in a plane, and someone will pay for, I mean, I'm telling my business out there like that, but someone, for example, will buy my ticket, and I give them the tattoo, and then everything else is mine. If I tattoo other people, friends, and boom, I can always travel with my trade.
Smart. Again, have a trade. A popular subject of this podcast is have a trade to sort of supplement your income,
your dreams.
Because I have friends who fly from Jersey to get tattoos in Malibu.
Crazy.
And for tattoo artists, people will fly to different continents.
It's crazy. Yeah, absolutely. And so...
And it's good that you're flying there because then you're just picking up extra money.
Exactly. And so what I would do is when I was out here, I was trying to find different jobs. I tried to find jobs at a weed shop. I tried to find jobs just doing acting stuff. Try to do anything. And then what it was is that Fletch got a gig to film a fashion company. And they're cool friends of ours. And now... But at that time, they just met, and he's like, oh, y'all just need an extra set of hands. And I'm like, yeah, all the time, down, let me know. I'll help with, set design, whatever it is, because I can use my creativity to its max. Yeah. And I literally helped him out that day. And then that day, when we're helping out, the two guys, oh, you're a tattoo artist? We have a person who's a tattoo manager across the street. And across the street is Hollywood and Highland. Right in the middle of the hustle and bustle. And so I literally got introduced to this person, and she gave me the job like that weekend. And it was just like, because I helped out someone else, I ended up getting a whole job in this busy place that this is what the other tattoo artists would say, but they would say that to get on Hollywood and Highland, you'd have to go through all the other shops at the bottom, the end of the road on the opposite side, and work your way up. I was like, okay, y'all ain't even that good anyway, but okay, cool. We'll keep it at that. This sounds good for me. That my first choice was the most busiest shop in Hollywood. Cool. And that's how I got that. And then I ended up going to the theaters. I ended up taking classes at Second City, which is down the street on Hollywood and Schrader. Right down the street to the tattoo shop. Funny coincidence. Stigma was right next to Sat Comedy Lab. And it's literally just a little bit more separate, but on the exact same road, how it sort of is over there.
And so now you've been in LA for a good chunk of time.
5 years.
I'm similar. I think I'm coming up on 6 years.
Okay. And
again, I say this, other people say this, some people deny it, but if you can survive the first 2 years, then it's official. Because a lot of people move back, and
I have friends that move back.
Yeah, because it's not easy. Even just coming here and surviving before you can even get started on your dreams is a struggle.
Trade, you need that source of income. That's why I tell everyone so if I want to move out there, you literally need to have that. Because if not, then it's really...
And it could be anything. I know people that have transferred, they were working at Home Depot in another state and then got transferred to a different store. Retail, same thing. People just were like, I'm just going to work in the LA office because I go there with a job.
Absolutely.
Started going to the improv schools here.
Second City.
Did you take classes there? Did you do the whole thing?
I took their pilot class first. Okay. I had already graduated from the one in Orlando, levels 1 through 4. So I took a pilot class at Second City just to get a hang of, see a feel. And I ended up creating a little small pilot. That's when I started taking my writing serious because I was just lyrics and raps throughout time. And boom. Cool. Take that. Then I applied for the director's program. They just started it. I think it was their second or third go around. And not only was I the youngest, I was also the minority of everyone.
Yeah, I have no shade to Second City, but I have noticed, there's a little lack of diversity there.
It's just an improv in general.
And again, speaks to who can move out here, who can afford to live out here, who can afford the classes.
Correct.
There is
$400 to $500 a class.
Yeah. So there is for LA, the city, and for Second City, there is an entrance fee.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, then and again, this trickles up to who are the performers then coming out of Second City, who's the main company, who gets cast from those companies. And again, if you don't even have someone that can get into move to the city and then take those classes
or afford it,
then you filtered it down so much. And it's not an accident. And again, I'm sure Second City has a diversity program and everything.
Yeah.
But it's aside from trying to be more diverse, it's also how can we open up more opportunities for people.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just wait for people to show up. Like,
well, it's like you can't even afford to show up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that is a lot of the work too, to be like, how can we, like, if your company looks all white, all male, then it's like, what's our process? Because again, this is all run in the house. How do we, remedy that?
Right.
And so you took the director's class.
Yeah, the director's program is like a year long.
And what do you guys do? What's it about?
You basically get you learn their curriculum, how to teach it. Well, they select you out of I guess a bunch of applicants. So I guess there's supposedly 40 to 50 other applicants, and they select 10. And they take you to this rigorous training, and they show you how to teach improv. They show you what is the differences and how to make comedy. They basically broke down comedy into a science so that you can be able to teach them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you have these different formats, scene structures. What's funny? What's the point of funny? What's satire? What's everything to that. And you get to put on an archive show, which is taking their old sketches and then bringing them to life. Because then they should make it a game show, because it's basically that. It's like you have these actors, you're teaching the actors, but then the teacher's teaching you, and he's not critiquing about what technically how they're doing, but on how you're doing it to explain to someone. And I'm a people person already through tattoos. Cool. Now we just have to explain, yes, and this, or your character was, bland, or whatever the case may be. And you do the archive show, then you get to do your own show. You go through the casting process of casting your actors, looking through their resumes, headshots. You pick who you want, then create a show, then create the flyer, and then you do sketches with those improvised beats.
Yeah.
You put a show, and that show runs for like 8 weeks, and boom, do that show, I get another show to direct on the side, and it's just like, boom, you just have to stay busy in that sense. And that's what I've been, I take classes here and there. I just got out of class right now at UCB, but literally it's been that process of just like doing one show after another. Okay, this material isn't mine, so how do I make that, reflection of me a little bit with theirs? And then it's like, okay, I'm one of the only people of color here. Yeah. What's my main goal to this whole thing? It's like, I want to see reflection of myself on those stages. And it's like, people aren't going to cast me. I know people who are listening can't see me, but I'm tatted up. I have tattoos all over my body, and it's like, people aren't going to cast me other than their stereotypical. Yeah. Even to the stereotype of what is a tattoo artist, you're not going to think of me. So it's literally, I want to put myself up there. I want to create these opportunities since there's not. So I end up using one of my actors in one of those sketch shows. I say, hey, Paul, you've been in the community more. I want to create a Hispanic improv team, a Latinx improv team. And how do we do that? So he ends up hitting up a bunch of people. We end up getting like 11 to 12 members. Boom. Wow, cool. We start doing improv. Oh, there's another improv group that is also Latinx. Cool. And so it's like building that. Okay, cool. We're doing improv in English and Spanish. Let's call it Spanglish. Cool. So me and Spanglish have been down for about 4 years now. And it's cool. All right. Well, now that I have these actors, I want to see us on stage, but not just improv. Yeah. I'm going to write a show. At that time, that was popular. Pablo Escobar this, Pablo Escobar the movie. Yeah. And this is around 2014-15. Narcos had just came out. Yeah. Everyone's loving that. So I go, I look at one of the guys in the team, Jorge, and Jorge, I go, bro, you sort of look like Pablo Escobar. And I go, if you just shave off the rest and just leave the mustache, bro, you look just like him. And we just make those jokes. And I ended up writing an entire play to showcase all of them. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, cool. If I showcase all of them on stage with my writing, with my directing, I'm also able to help us as a whole.
and which someone ended up telling me that our show at Second City, called Fresco Bar, was the first ever Latinx ensemble at Second City's history. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
There's not other? And I started researching them more, and I was like, I need to do more. I need to find more first things. And it's like, okay, cool. That show did great, and which opened their eyes to having improv and Spanish curriculum. Inspired them to do a premium show. There was like their shows that are Fridays and Saturdays, a premium Latinx show, and just one thing led to another.
Yeah, and it all just came from you being selected for this program. You know, like because that's where you got the skills to be like, okay, I know how to do this. I'm working at this. Like, let me start putting on shows. Let me giving
me the tools, the ingredients. Okay, cool. So by taking that, it's like, all right, I want to boom. Because to think about it now, it's like people who are in the 10 people in there, a lot of them are falling off. And honestly, I think I am the only one that is still directing shows there.
And again, it's just like same thing with like, you know, how you saw In the Heights, like you're putting your own like all Latinx production on.
Yep.
And, you know, people are coming into the audience seeing it, and maybe there's somebody that's like, oh, I didn't know there was a space here for us. Let me try it. But again, you had to create the space. You had to like purposely, with a mission, put it out there and build it. You know, you had the vision to be like, let's build this out, you know.
Let me read an email. Now you just made me think of something. Because this email was sent to Second City a few days ago for last week. So being that we're talking about how that was happened to me, and how, you know, I'm able to put or have an opportunity to show others, this email got sent to Second City from one of our, just an improv show that we ended up just playing around with. This is Isaac, one of the head guys in the office at Second City. He sends it, this person sends it to Isaac. Hey, Isaac, not sure who to send this to, but I want to thank the Second City fam to know how much seeing Spanglish meant to me. I saw it on Thursday, not knowing anything about it. The improvisers made me feel like family, literally breaking bread with the audience. The show was called Breaking Bread, and we just started throwing chips at people. But I was like, don't throw no bread at me. Anyway, so breaking bread with the audience and inviting us into their home away from home on stage. They reminded me that even though we don't always speak the same language, laughter is universal. In a time when America feels more and more divided, moments like this, when we are invited to come together and celebrate diversity and unity, mean more than I can say. Truly, thank you all guys for the show. I am damn proud to be studying at improv at Second City. All best. And it's like, whoa, hold up. I'm sort of giving that same feeling that I got to others.
Yeah. And with that, you know, it's also speaks to the, you know, I think we focus a lot on the differences, on the things that make us like someone else, make us not like someone else. You know, you're not like this, so we're pushing people away, we're making outsiders. And it's through, you know, shows like yours where, you know, people can see themselves represented, they could chase that same dream, they can get work, you know, they can have a show to produce with other people. Other people can go in and be like, oh yeah, like, again, we don't speak the same language, but that's a similar experience. The humanity is the same, the experience is the same.
Absolutely.
And then again, it's like, well, I guess we're not that different. It sounds corny. It sounds like a show is special, but that is
corny is because they're not getting it.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like, you know, we have so much more in common that we don't.
Yeah, and at least through laughter, you're going to be able... Yeah, sometimes we're speaking Spanish, or even we can say, like, there are groups that I've seen that speak French or speak German or speak... And it's like you can still tell by the, I guess... You can tell by the physicality, you can tell by the rhythm, the beats, and...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's incredible. That it's because, again, it's like, it's something that you went out of your way to purposely do.
Right.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah, and seeing it now, absolutely. And it's just like, wow, that message was and I've been doing it now for about 4 to 5 years straight. So it's like, you can only hope for moments like that. You can only hope that once a day you can help change someone's life or whatnot.
Yeah.
And how I've been able to put the whole thing in a circle is like now I also have an improv group that we only do freestyle raps. We're called Kitchen Closed. And so being that I was doing music and everything back then, I'm able to incorporate it now into the show. It's like, now I'm improvising rap. It's sort of like Wildin' Out, for example, but without the put downs and the battle. The only battle we have is a game called Disney Rap or Marvel Rap. It depends on what we want to call it that day. And we'll take suggestions of who is the villain in Disney. Oh, the Jafar. All right, Jafar versus who?
That's funny.
Buzz Lightyear. All right, Jafar versus Buzz. And we're rapping against each other. That's the only conflict. Everything else is strictly positive. We have like Tinder profile raps. We'll get an audience who's single, and we'll ask them what their Tinder profile would be, and we rap them out for them. We just do fun stuff for the audience through improv, through rhyming. And what I'm also able to do is take all those, all right, this worked for this one, this worked for this show. All right, I got to write another show, but how do I make it more real? Like Pablo, the Fresco Bar one is a story of Pablo Escobar going into purgatory. Purgatory is the place between heaven and hell, but in between it, purgatory is a talk show like Oprah. So Diane Summers is hosting Viva Purgatory and interviewing Pablo Escobar. And we get to go through his past, present, and future and see how his life turned out and see that he did all the stuff he did, and now his family can't even reap the benefits from it. Or at least not the evil stuff, but at least the money and all the stuff that you were aiming for. This is like now it almost went to waste. Yeah. Because now people are making TV shows about you, people are doing all these things, and none of it's going to your family. So I have that real moment in that, and how we glorify the bad versions of us or the bad things about us. And why is it that Narcos was a big thing? So I spinned it on its head where it's like, cool, in the writing, I'm going to make sure that I'm also giving a real moment. And it's like, this is not about a drug dealer. It is, but it's not really. It's like, why do we constantly glorify these people like that? And that's negative or bad. What draws us to that? And I take that show, and recently the show that I had on May 5th, I've been working on it for about a year and a half, and I've just been writing. I'm like, what do I want to say? What do I want to do? And I basically, not to sound cheesy or anything, but I basically wrote a play that is sort of like an apology in a comedic way to my mother. In this story, the story is called My Way. And my mother would always play Frank Sinatra, the My Way song, but in Spanish, a mi manera. It's like, si yo me muero, entonces this is the song you need to play at the funeral. I go, oh my gosh, don't say stuff like that.
My parents have said the same thing. Really? My grandparents have said the same thing. And I'm like, that's dark. I'm a child. Like,
yeah. So you're telling me that. It's like, cool. But I used it. I used that moment, and I created a play called My Way. And it's a story about a son who draws comic books, and he finds out he's a kid, he's a grown man who still draws comic books at the age of 25 to 28. Wani is his name. He's still just mooching off his mom, not really caring about life. He's just doing comic books, playing video games, and his mom's fed up with it. But in that moment, he gets a letter in the mail that he's accepted to a college that's in Rhode Island. What? Rhode Island? Mom slips, bangs her head, and she goes into the world of his comic books, learning how to deal with empty nest syndrome. And I created that story sort of apologizing, because I left so abruptly in my own, situation, that I was like, how can I also, apologize so that this story is sort of like her perspective going into my world, and it's like, how can we rekindle a passion that you had? Yeah.
Sort of just to cap off our interview, who are some like Latinx writers, creators that you admire? Who do you want to shout out
So Lin-Manuel, of course.
I'll reach out to his people.
Yeah. I'm sure through the Puerto Rican grapevine.
Yeah.
You know who does a lot of writing? Who I don't think people see as often is. Have you heard? You know Jenny Lorenzo? She does La Abuela on YouTube.
I haven't heard.
She used to be on BuzzFeed and then Me Too, and then now she's on her own.
Oh, okay.
She's great. The Abuela, she's basically a social media influencer.
Yeah.
But she has she has hundreds of thousands of followers, and she's not even the followers part, but the fact is that she's a Cuban, a part of the Latinx community out here in LA, and she's killing it.
Yeah.
I would say I mean, if you can get LaJuan James, I don't know him, but we are from the same areas.
Yeah.
Which is very funny how that works out because of a platform. How awesome that like a social media can be that can just blow, because he's from Orlando or Kissimmee or the Central Florida, and he's T-Mobile now, McDonald's commercial, just him acting a fool through his phone, which is awesome. I think Ithamar is one of the actors and directors at Second City. Martin Garcia, Serenity Garcia, you met her not too long ago. She has an awesome story. I admire her grind and her comedic humor. I think those are more people who I actually know by hand, which I feel like I admire. I think it's awesome to admire my friends more than anything.
Yes.
Which is interesting because, like, usually I don't know too many. Like I said, like Gloria, one of the showrunners and writers for One Day at a Time.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Like you can't knock that stuff.
Yeah, we have the big names, and then we have the people that we need to like support and shout out. And, I feel the same thing. Some of my peers, I'm like, they're amazing. Like, why doesn't the whole world know about that? Like,
yeah, they will.
So,
do time with awesome podcasts like this.
Sort of the point of this podcast. I'm just remembering.
Exactly.
Okay, so I kind of like the guest to title their own podcast episode, because I want this to be like an inclusive podcast. I want people to see your title and think again, oh, that's like me. Like let me listen to this, and if they're sort of wondering how to do this, but also being like, oh, there's someone else like me out there. So the prompt is a blank Latinx writer. You can add more than one, so whatever.
I would say passionate. I think passionate. I mean, because I would say I am a passionate Latinx writer, for sure. Okay. And I think that's what I'm striving for the most part. I eventually just want to. Which is why my Instagram is called Trovador360. It's because all these things that I've been telling you about have gone in a circular form, and how I'm able to use every little thing, tattoos or whatever. I didn't even talk about it. I have a variety show called Tattoo Party. All right. So now where can people find you? What are your handles? Like my Instagram, my personal for acting and directing, it's at Trovador360. For tattoos, it's at Chriso_art. That is CHRISSO_ART. I have a comic book that's called Tattoo Mix. It's tattoo_comics. I'm doing a lot of stuff with that, just trying to get into like more animation stuff now. Remember that the story My Way that I was telling you about? I did that on live, and now I'm trying to convert it now to a comic, trying to put all my things together. I think that's about it. I have an old man character that I do called Papa Chu, and you can find him on Twitter at Papa Chu for you. Real silly. Well, check him out. Check out the art. I'm really interested to see your tattooing and your comics. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me. And I think that's all for this episode. All right, bye. Bye.